it's Ian from RTO here. Welcome to another Marathon Wednesday. And this week we're looking at the solo albums of Alice Cooper. Last week we did Alice Cooper the band. This week we look at the vast catalogue of Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper. Really like Alice Cooper. Been listening to him practically all my life. His solo stuff now, I'd say 75% of it I really love. But I think with his solo career, it all depends on what was going on in Alice's personal life, showed what sort of album he made, and then there's the commercial stuff, the radio friendly stuff. I don't dislike any of the albums, but there are albums that I prefer, and there's some tracks that, there's quite a few tracks that I'm not very keen on, but on the whole I am a really big fan. I've had the opportunity to go, which were both great shows. So we've got 21 albums to look at, so there's quite a lot today. So we better get started. So coming in at number 21, we go to 1980 for his fifth solo album. It's called Flush the Fashion. On here we've got Alice Cooper, of course, Davy Johnson on lead guitar, Fred Mandel on keyboards, guitar and backing vocals, Dennis Conway on drums, John Cooker Lepresti on bass, Flo and Eddie on backing vocals, Joe Peliso on backing vocals, Keith Allison backing vocals, and Ricky Turneri. First track on here is a little track called Talk Talk. I like the riff and the bass, but vocally Alice was not in a good place when he made this album, and it's a little bit flat. His singing's not very good, unfortunately. Clones, We Are All, one of the worst tracks I think Alice Cooper has ever done. It's got that terrible 80s keyboard, and he's trying to do something new wave, which really didn't work. Pain, unfortunately I don't think this song's got much substance. It's lacking something. The vocals are really bad. Musically it's very weak. Leather Boots, it's okay. It's a nice little rock and roll type number, doesn't sound too bad. Aspirin, Damage. What ruins this song is the keyboards. It's just them horrible keyboards. Nuclear Infected, it's alright, it's reasonable. Rimfax, probably the best song on the album. The bass sounds good on this. It's a good little rock track, nothing wrong with that one. Model Citizen, not very keen on this one. It's a little bit lacklustre. Dance Yourself to Death, good guitar solo on it, I'll give it that. It's really good guitar solo. Headlines, I don't know what this is all about. I don't know what he was thinking. And I find this a bit of a lacklustre album from Alice Cooper. Don't play this one very often. I just don't find it interesting enough to listen to, and it's not very memorable. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 20, we go to the 7th album, released in August of 1982, Zipper Catches Skin. We've got Alice Cooper on here, Dick Wagner, Mike Pinera's guitars, Eric Scott on the bass, Jan Uvina drums, John Nitzinger on guitar, Billy Steele on guitar, Dwayne Hutchins plays the synthesizer, Craig Camp on percussion, and Franny Gold, Joanne Harris, Flo and Eddie on backing vocals. And we've got Patty Donahue guest vocals on Sarcasm on I Like Girls. First track on here is called Zorro's Ascent. Another track, unfortunately, that lacks substance, is a little bit thin in places. Make the Money Scrooge song, yeah, it doesn't too bad. It's one of them sort of fun tracks from Alice. It's got a nice riff in it. It's okay. I Am the Future, which is from the motion picture of the Class of '84. It's okay. It's not the best thing on there. And we get my favourite track on here actually. It's called No Balcony Homo Sapiens for Steve and E.T. in brackets. I do like the start of this. I like the bells and the guitar work. It's one of the best songs on the album, and I do love the drums, and it's a pretty good vocal from Alice Cooper. Then we get Acceptable, Anything for You. This one isn't too bad. I like the drumming in this again. It's not too bad. I Like Girls. Good little rocker actually. I like that one. Remarkably Insincere. It's not one of the memorable tracks on here. I've forgotten what it sounds like. That's how often I play it. Tag You're It. Don't really connect with that one either. I don't get that one. I Better Be Good. It's a bit of a rock and roll 50s song. Really good song. I'm Alive, and in brackets, that was the day my dead pet returned to save my life. It's more of a Alice speaking than a song. It's a funny way to end the album, to be quite honest. This album's okay. Again, it's not very memorable. There's lots of talking in it. Real weird time for Alice. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 5.2. Coming in at number 19 then, we got the sixth album, released in 1981, and it's called Special Forces. On here it's Alice Cooper, Dwayne Hitchens on the keyboards, Danny Johnson guitars, Craig Kampf drums, Mike Pinero guitar, and Eric Scott bass. First track is called Who Do You Think We Are? It's an alright track musically, but Alice's vocals are not very good. I mean, I know he was going through a very torrid time in this period. 7 and 7 is not very good. I hate the beginning. It's more like electronic bass. What were they thinking? I don't know. It's not a brilliant track. Next track is Prettiest Cop on the Block. I don't like this at all. I don't like the mix on it. Then we get Generation Landslide. Yeah, let's just put a live song in the middle of a studio album. I just find it, when they do that, it means that they're sort of really struggling to put an album together. Then we get Skeletons in the Closet. This is more like it. This is that sort of creepy horror rock from Alice. That's a really good track, one of the best ones of this period that he made. You Want It, You Got It. Too electronic for me. That's what I'll say on that. You Look Good in Rags, one of the better rockers on here, but it does sound a little bit like Atomic by Blondie. You're a Movie, it's alright, nothing wrong with it. Vicious Rumours, another song that's not memorable. Again, we've got a non-memorable album here. It's got a couple of highlights, but it's another album I don't play very much. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5.4. Okay, then coming in at number 18, we have the 8th album, released in 1983, DaDa. Got Alice on here, Dick Wagner, Crash John on bass, Richard Kalinka drums, Graham Shaw on Oberheim sort of keyboard sing, Bob Ezrin plays the Fairlight CM programming, which is always a bit iffy. John Anderson, not the John Anderson on drums, and Karen Hendricks backing vocals along with Lisa DeBello. First track on here is DaDa. I don't mind this. It's it's Alice Cooper. It's quite a bit of a fun track. Enough's Enough. I'm really fond of this sort of showmanship from Alice Cooper. The show songs, as I call them. It's a really good track. I like that. Formerly Warmer. It's quite eerie. more going back to the horror rock, like that sort of thing. Then we get No Man's Land. This is an interesting track. It's not too bad. Dyslexia, probably one of the worst tracks on the album. It's not even a rock track, it's just garbage. Scarlet and Sheba, a bit weird but pleasant enough. It's that nice weirdness from Alice Cooper. I Love America, bit mediocre, but it's not terrible. Fresh Blood, it's okay. Then we get my favourite track on this one, Pass the Gun Around. It's got a great guitar solo on it, which actually adds to the track. I think this is a bit of a mixed bag here. It's got some good tracks on it, but it also has some bad tracks. And I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay, then coming in at number 17, we've got a 2003 now, 16th album, The Eyes of Alice Cooper. So on here is Alice Cooper, Eric Dover on guitar, Ryan Roxy on guitars, Chuck Garrick on the bass, the Eric Singer, drum with quite a lot of people. On drums, Rain Kramer does additional guitar on Detroit Strix. City and Calcio Cooper does voice and theremin. First track on this one is What Do You Want From Me? Pretty solid rock song, got some nice riffs in this. Pretty good track. Between High School and Old School, solid enough track, but it's not memorable. It has got a couple of really good riffs in it. Man of the Year, it's okay again, not spectacular. I don't know if he's trying to sound like Green Day, but it didn't work. Navona Kane, it's alright, don't mind this one either, just a solid rock track. Bye Bye Baby, another solid rock track. There's nothing wrong with it. Be With You, never been keen on this one. I don't know it's just not that brilliant. Detroit City, just a good old fashioned rock track with some great riffs, my favourite track on the album. Spirits, Rebellious, definitely one of the better tracks on here. Some great driving riffs, and it's got a lot of beef in this one. This House Is Haunted, another one of these fun sort tracks from Alice Cooper. I like the storyline. It's quite a fun track. I don't mind that one at all. Love Should Never Feel Like This, decent rock track, but it's not what I call a memorable one. The Song That Didn't Rhyme, that's okay, nothing wrong with that one. I'm So Angry, this mediocre rock track, and it's not bad, it's just not memorable. Backyard Brawl, some nice riffs in this. It's okay. Okay, this is just a basic rock album. There's nothing really terrible on it. I do struggle though to remember the names of the tracks on it. So it's one of them albums that you put it on, go, oh, this isn't too bad, but I couldn't tell you what the names of the tracks are. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 16, we've got the 12th album released in 1991, Hey Stoopid. We've got Alice Cooper on vocals and harmonica, Steph Burns on the guitar, Hugh McDonald on the bass, Lance Bullin backing vocals, and Mickey Curry on the drums. Opens up with Hey Stoopid. Features Slash on here, and so Joe Satriani. Ozzy Osbourne's involved here as well. There's some backing vocals, I think. That's alright, everyone knows this. Not a particular favourite of mine, but when you put this album on, yeah, I don't mind listening to it. Love Is a Loaded Gun, love the guitar in this, but it's a very commercial feeling track, I'm afraid. Snakebite, very MTV fodder here, mediocre. Burning Our Bed, another of them tracks that was more geared up for MTV. Dangerous Tonight, Desmond Child's involvement in it, and he's not one of my favourite lyricists. His songs all around the same sort of thing. Bit mediocre. Might as well be on Mars. This sounds too much like Whitesnake at the time. Yeah, and all them other hair bands. It doesn't do much for me. The solo's good though. Give it that. Feed My Frankenstein. Everyone seems to like this one except me. It's just too commercial. It's just not for me. Hurricane Years, my favourite track. It's got a great riff on this. It's co-wrote by Vinnie Moore, so that's why I think it's pretty good. Little by Little, just very ordinary. Die For You, more MTV here. Mick Mars and Nikki Sixx are involved in this. It's not too interesting. Dirty Dreams sounds like a bit of a Kiss song. Vinnie Moore from UFO's involved in it. It's alright. Wind Up Toy, again it's just commercial MTV music. An album really made for the MTV days. It's not a bad album, but it's not the sound that I really want. I'm not really, as you know, I'm not really into this commercial rock sound, and that's what this is. So I'll give it an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, then coming at number 15, we're going to have the 10th album from 1987, Raise Your Fist. Alice Cooper on here, Kane Roberts, Kit Winger on the bass, Paul Taylor keyboards, and K. Mary on the drums. First track is Freedom. Some really good guitar licks on this. Love for 80s rock. This is not bad at all. Lock Me Up. Okay, again, very 80s, but it's quite heavy for 80s. You know, it's not smooth. It's a little bit raw. It's not a bad track. Give the radio back. I actually like this one for an 80s song. It's pretty good. Step on You. Some really good riffs. Really good solo. I don't mind that one at all. It's got a thumping bass line. Not Kind of the Love. It's alright. Prince of Darkness. It's just very cheesy 80s rock. Time to Kill, solid track, great vocal from Alice. Then we get Chop Chop Chop, my favourite track on here. And I think this is a bit of a guilty track. I just love the riffs, they're so great. Gale, love the harpsichord on here. This is a bit different, it really works. Roses on White Lace, more frantic drumming on this, some great guitar licks. For an album made in 1987, the production is pretty good. It hasn't got that usual 80s sound on it. It's quite strong, and I don't mind this album actually, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.6. Okay, then coming in at number 14, we have the 9th album, released in 1986, Constrictor. Alice Cooper on here again, Kane Roberts' guitars and bass guitar, Kit Winger bass guitar, David Rosenberg on the drums, Donnie Kissel back on the bass as well. I've got Paul Delph on keyboards, Tom Kelly and Bo Hill do some backing vocals and production. Teenage Frankenstein, one of my guilty pleasure tracks on Alice Cooper. I love the guitar work on this. It's a bit cheesy, but I do like it. My favourite track, you're always allowed one guilty track I suppose. Give It Up, really good riffs on this album again, and the drums are sounding a bit smooth, but it's got a lot of energy. Thrill My Gorilla, sounds a little bit like Give It Up. Again, it's just that the drummer's a little bit smooth. Life and Death of the Party, not keen on this one. Definitely what I call MTV fodder. Simple Disobedience. Interesting drums on this. I like the start, and the bass line is good. Great riffs as well. The World Needs Guts. Oh, I just love the riffs and the guitar solo. I'm a sucker for this stuff sometimes, and I don't mind that. Trick Bag. I'm not very keen on this one. This is 280s rock. Crawling, MTV fodder. No, it's just too commercial for me. The Great American Success Story, some great riffs in here. It's quite raw for 1986, and I don't mind that one. He's Back, the man behind the mask. Now everyone seems to love this, and I know he's playing this on his current tour. I don't know why. It's a terrible track. I don't like it. I know there's lots of you that like it, but I don't. I just find it annoying. Again, another mixed album from the 80s. Got some really good stuff on it, and it's got some very commercial stuff. And I'll give this one an RTO ranking of 6.7. Okay, then coming in at number 13. We'll go to the 11th album now, released in 1989, Trash. So we've got Alice Cooper on the vocals, Jim McCurry on guitar, Hugh McDonald on the bass, Bobby Chinroyd on drums, Alan St. John on the keyboards. And you've got lots of people popping in, doing some vocals. Stephen Tyler's on here, John Bon Jovi is, Joe Perry's playing some guitar, Steve Lukather plays guitar on here, Tom Hamilton's on here, Jerry Kramer, half of Aerosmith's on here. No, in fact I think they're all on here. So there's all sorts of people joining on this. There's so many to mention. So first track on here, Poison. This is going to upset a lot of people. If I never hear that track again, I am not going to lose sleep over it. And when people say, oh, my favourite Alice Cooper track is Poison, you go, what? I want to pull what hair I have got out. Every time I go and see him, when he plays this, everyone jumps around like idiots. And then when he does some of the other tracks, they sit there gormless and on their phones and not paying much attention, and I do all look at them a bit bemused. But it's there. Spark in the Dark. I like this track, and I prefer it to Poison. I like the guitar solo on it, and it's a pretty solid track. House of Fire. Oh dear, what is going on here? More of that MTV fodder. Why Trust You? It's quite beefy, and Desmond Child wrote this. It's not unusual for me to like a track by Desmond Child, but I do like that one. Only My Heart Talking. Oh dear me. MTV ballad. Oof. Bed of Nails. This is more like it. I like this track. It's a bit more darker. It's a great track. I like that one. The Manics in Love With You. More commercial rock. Trash. Late 80s rock, but I do like it. Good guitar work. Hell Is Living With You. This has got John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora. Too Bon Jovi for me, and doesn't really suit Alice's thing. Let me get my favourite track on the album. It's the last one. I'm Your Gun. This is more like it. This is what the public want. Good old fashioned Alice Cooper rock. Great track. Another very commercial sounding album for MTV. It's got one or two better tracks on there, but it's an album I very rarely put on, and I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.8. Okay, then coming in at number 12, we now go to the 15th album, released in 2001, and Dragontown. On here we've got Alice Cooper, of course, Ryan Roxy on guitar, Greg Smith on bass. And some session musicians come and help them out. We've got Tim Pierce doing some guitar work, Wayne Swinney on guitars, Bob Marlett does some keyboards and bass and rhythm guitar. Got backing vocals from Teddy Andreas, Eric Dover, Calcio Cooper, Giovanna Marana, and Kenny Arnoff plays drums on this as well. Triggerman, this is great. Love the deep riffs in this, and it's a great vocal from Alice. Like that one. Deeper. This is more like it. This is rock horror. It's the darker, deeper side of Alice Cooper. A little bit better track. Love that one. Dragontown, solid. What I'll say about that, it's just a solid track. Sex, Death and Money. Love the bass line on this. This is more like it. A very dark sounding track again, like that one. Fantasy Man is just dark, dirty and heavy. My favourite track. Great guitar work. Great vocal from Alice. Somewhere in the Jungle. Another really good track. I love this sort of dark sounding Alice Cooper. Then we got Disgraceland. This sort of sorts off a quite rockabilly. And you think, oh, this is all right, and then all of a sudden, they crank it up, and it rocks. And it's a good track. Sister Sarah. I think this is the nearest that Alice got to grunge, and I do like the riff. It's pretty good. Every Woman Has a Name. Not very keen on this one. It's a bit of a ballady thing. Doesn't really fit on the album actually. I Just Want to Be God, another grungy sounding record, and because he's got that great voice, it does fit. The Sentinel, another good rock, raunchy, dirty riffs like this one. Like the most albums of the time, they tried a bit of grunge, and I think actually this worked for Alice because he's got the voice to do that, and the subject matter fits well with Alice's persona, and it's not a bad album actually. I don't mind listening to this one, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, then coming in, so usual thing, it sticks. There we go. So coming in, where are we? At number 11, we have the 21st and most current album. It's released in 2021, and it's Detroit Stories. On here we've got Alice Cooper, Michael Bruce on guitars, Dennis Dunaway on the bass. I wonder what band he was in. Neil Smith, yeah, another name from the past, on drums. Bob Ezrin is doing percussion and organ. First track is actually a cover, and it's Rock and Roll by the Velvet Underground. This is a really good version of it. In fact, I prefer this version. Pretty good. Then we get a track called Go Man Go. Great little rock and roller from Alice Cooper. Just what you want from Alice. Great track. Then we get another cover, and it's Our Love Will Change the World, which was done by Outrageous Cherry. This is a really good version of this song. I love the original as well, but I think Alice does a fine version of it. Social Debris, really good track. This really goes back to the old days of Alice Cooper Band, and I really like that. It might help that Neil Smith's drumming on it. It's pretty good. Then we get $1 Million High Heel Shoes. Again, it's kind of come off from a $1 Billion Babies album. I love that track. Great track. Hail Mary. Very catchy riffs in this one. Really strong. Then he re-recorded Detroit City, which was from an earlier album. Now, when you normally re-record an track from an old album, I usually say, I prefer the original. No, not in this case. This is far better than the original version. Then we get a track called Drunken in Love. My favourite track on here. Features Mr. Dennis Dunway. And a great bluesy rock track. Love that. Independence Dave. This again is just solid old style Alice Cooper. It's really good. Dennis Dunway co-wrote that one as well. Then Wonderful World, a really good track. Old fashioned Alice Cooper again, solid. Then we get another cover, Sister Anne by MC5. This is a great version of this great track from MC5. As good as the original. Then we get Hanging On by a Thread. Great track. Solid rock track. Shut Up and Rock. Any track that's got the word rock involved, you know it's going to be good, and that is good. And then the last track is a cover by Bob Seger, and the last heard, called East Side Story. Once again, really good track, and I think they do this justice. I love this album. The covers are good. It's great seeing some of the old guys from the Alice Cooper band on here as well. I like listening to this album, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.2. I need a drink. Bear with me. That's better. So we've got to the top 10. So coming in at number 10, we go the 13th album, 1994's The Last Temptation. So on here it is Alice Cooper, Steph Burns on guitars and vocals, Greg Smith on the bass, Derek Sheeran from the Dream Theater and Sons of Apollo on keyboards, David Uoskingen on drums. First track, Sideshow. The start of this is very early Alice Cooper, and I love it. Really good track. Nothing's Free, like this track again. The drumming and the guitars are really good on this track. Lost in America, some driving riffs on this. Alice sounds on fire on this one, absolutely belter. Bad Place Alone, the bass line from this, from Greg Smith, is amazing. Guitars work well on this as well. You're My Temptation, what I like about this is going back to the roots. It's telling a bit of a story on the track, really strong track. Stolen Prayer, not a bad track, co-written by Chris Cornell, and you can tell there's a lot of his styles on this. Like Unholy War, another track written by Chris. The drumming's brilliant on this, brilliant stuff. Lullaby, I love this. This is proper Alice Cooper at his best. It's classic Alice Cooper all the way on that. It's Me, not one of my favourites on the album. Then we got Cleansed by Fire. This is another of those theatrical style tracks from Alice Cooper. Really strong track. I love the sound on that, and it's a bit of acting and showboating from Alice, and it's great. I think this is definitely one of the better albums of the 1990s. Got some really strong tracks on this, so I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay, then coming in at number 9, we go to the 20th album now. Paranormal, released in 2017, and it features 3 tracks performed by Alice Cooper, Neil Smith, Dennis Dunway. So it's the original band, minus of course Glenn Buxton, who sadly died. It's also got Larry Mullen Jr. from U2, Roger Glover from Deep Purple, Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. So it's got a really good bunch of people on here. Paranormal is the first track. Roger Glover on this. Love the chunky riffs, and the bass and Roger's pretty good. Like that track. Dead Flies. Proper Alice Cooper again. This is Alice Cooper band. If the band had stayed together, I think this is the sound we'd have got. Really good. Then we get Fireball. Nothing to do with Deep Purple's Fireball, but the guitar is great. We've got lots of wah-wah, which is always good, isn't it? Bit of wah-wah. Paranoid Personality. This features Tommy Hendrickson. It's a really quirky riff, not bad at all. Falling in Love. That opening riff is just dynamite. Really sets the track up. Talking of dynamite, we have a track called Dynamite Road. It's more talking than singing, but it's that theatrical style, and I don't mind that. Private Public Breakdown. Solid track. Great guitar work on this. A very, very good vocal from Alice. Then we get Holy Water. Really good cover of this song, and I do like it. Rats. Very solid track. Great riffs. Then we get The Sound of A. Classic Alex Cooper horror rock. Brilliant vocal. Then we get some really good tracks, and this one is my favourite. Genuine American Girl. This features the surviving members of the Alice Cooper band. It's so good to hear them on here. I think Michael Bruce plays the lead guitar, and I'm sure they missed Glenn on this, but it was great to see Dennis and Neil playing. Solid. My favourite track on the band, on the album from this band. And then we get another track by them, and it's called You and All Your Friends. Pretty good, straight, solid Alice Cooper's band sound. Fantastic. Great way to end the album with these two tracks from the Alice Cooper band. I think it's an amazing album, highlighted obviously by the reunion of the surviving members of the Alice Cooper band. Play this a lot, especially the last two tracks. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, then coming in at number 8, we go to 2008, the 18th album. Along Came a Spider. Alice Cooper, of course. Danny Sauber on lead guitars. Greg Hampton on lead guitars. Chuck Garrick on bass. Eric Singer's back on the drums. Guest musicians on here are Kerry Kelly, Jason Hawke on guitar, and Slash. First track is Prologue, I Know Where You Live. This is something that could have come off my favourite album. I'm not going to talk about it at the moment, but it's really good. I like that track. Vengeance Is Mine. This features Slash on the guitar, and you can hear Slash. The guitar work on this is fantastic. Strong stuff. I love the solo from Slash. Is fantastic. It's just a great rock track. Really like that one. Wake the Dead. Now this features a certain Ozzy Osbourne. What a track. Two legends of sort of gloom doom rock and roll. Alice Cooper, Ozzy Osbourne. What more can you get? And it is really good. Love that track. Then we get a track called Catch Me If You Can, my favourite on the album. Great vocal from Alice. The riffs are really driving along here. Really good track. In Touch With Your Feminine Side. Isn't too bad. Not one of my favourite tracks from this album. Wrapped in Silk. Love the opening riff in this. Then they've got some great drumming on it. Really, really strong. Love it. Then we get Killed by Love. Bit of a mediocre ballad. I wouldn't go over the moon on that one. I'm Hungry. Not a bad track. Then we got The One That Got Away. Another great rock track. Love the vocal from Alice on that one. Salvation. Another reasonable track. It's got some good riffs, some nice piano, and a pretty good solo. And then we get to my favourite track, which is I Am the Spider, and Epilogue. It's just got them classic horror rock from Alice evil. Certainly could have come off a certain other album. It's brilliant. What a way to end the album. An enjoyable album. It's really got the sound of them early days. There's a couple of tracks on here that I'm not keen on, but I like the concept of this album. It really works well, especially that last track. So I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 7.6. Coming in at number 7 then, we have the 17th album, released on the 4th of July 2005, Dirty Diamonds. Alice Cooper on the guitar, on vocals and harmonica. Got Ryan Roxy and Damon Johnson guitars, Chuck Garrick on the bass, Tommy Clufatos on drums, and Exhibit raps on stand. Got some rap on this. Woman of Mass Destruction. What I like about this one, it's recorded in 2005, but it's got elements of 1970s rock. It's brilliant. Perfect. It's got a classic riff. Again, it's a great vocal from Alice. A very simple track, but effective. Great track. You make me wanna. Some really good guitar riffing in this. I do like the start of this. You got some acoustic guitar thrown in there. Some driving riffs. I like this one. Dirty Diamonds is the next track. Another vocal performance from Alice that is just really good. Solid drumming on this. The Saga of Jessie Jane. One of them gentler tracks on here. Very deep vocal from Alice. Pretty good. Sunset Babies, All Got Rabies. Interesting title. Sounds like an opening riff of a Rolling Stones track, but you get that gravelly out Alice voice. It's a pretty cool track. Then we get Pretty Ballerina. Surprisingly, again, a more slower track, and I actually like the arrangement. So you've got strings and even flute, and some very good vocal from Alice. Run Down the Devil, driving riffs on here. The guitar solo is pretty good. Again, it comes straight at the beginning of this track. Oh, that's what I like. I like a track that comes straight in with a solo. Still That Car, more catchy riffs. Really gets hooked into that. Good track. 6 Hours, another track that's got an acoustic and guitar that work to go well in harmony. Very strong track. Your Own Worst Enemy. More driving riffs on this. It's alright, this is sticking today, I don't know why. Solid track. Then we get Zombie Dance. Very catchy, great bass line. Really classic sounding Alice Cooper here. Then we get this track called Stand with Exhibit. All I'll tell you is shockingly shite. Rap and rock should never ever play together. Solid album. Love this album because I did see Alice Milton Keynes supporting this. He was there with Deep Purple and various other peoples, and he played some of the songs off this album, and they sound brilliant live. And that's why I love this album, because you know this is one of the tours I saw him on. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.8. Coming in at number 6 then, of the 19th album released in 2011, and it's Welcome to My Nightmare 2. On here we have got Alice Cooper, we have got Tommy Hendrickson on the guitar, Bob Ezrin did a little bit of work on it, Michael Brewster's guitars, Dennis Dunmay's about to do some bass on it, Neil Smith appears on this as well, Steve Hunter's on here, and Dick Wagner. So he's had people that he's played with before. So the first track is called I Am Made of You. Love this track. The vocal from Alice is great, lots of effects, the strings are really good. Caffeine, drumming on this from Neil Smith, brilliant. You get a great riff from Michael Bruce as well, doing the business. The Nightmare returns. It's a very short piece, but it's in vein with Welcome to My Nightmare. Runaway Train, which it features Vince Gill on here, my favourite track. Could have come off the very first Nightmare album, actually. Really good. Last Man on Earth. Now, we haven't heard this sort of track since the first Nightmare from that era. It's got that brass band and the showboating from Alice. Love that track. The Congregation, which featured Rod Zombie. Bit commercial, but lots of fun, lots of hand clapping, catchy riffs. It's alright. I'll Bite Your Face Off. Another little great rock track like that one. Disco Bloodbath Boogie Fever, featuring John 5. I don't like this. Shouldn't be on the album. Ghouls Gone Wild. Sounds something that should have been in the Rocky Horror Show. It's a great track. Something to Remember. Bit of a filler track. I'm not very keen on that one. When Hell Comes Home. One of my favourite tracks off this album. Really driving tracks. Then we get a track that doesn't belong on here. It's called What My Baby Wants, featuring Keisha. Keisha, what are you doing? You know, this is... I don't like Keisha's vocal on this. It just ruins it. Then we got I've Got to Get Out of Here, featuring Vince Gill again. Another filler track on here. Then we get The Underture, an instrumental. A little bit of theatrical stuff from Alice Cooper. It's alright. Okay, although this album didn't capture the hearts as the first Nightmare album did, it's still a pretty good album though. It's got some... It's nice to see some of the members of the original Alice Cooper band on here again. And apart from the rather dodgy fat track featuring Keisha, I'll still give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 5, we get another third album from 1977, and it's Lace and Whiskey. Alice Cooper on here, then we've got Dig Wagner on guitars, Steve Hunter guitar, Bob Babbitt on the bass, Alan Schwartzberg drums, and then we got Precious John doing a little bit. Tony Levin plays bass on this as well. Jim Gordon's on here doing some drums. Jimmy Mallon, Al Cooper on piano, and Alan McMillan on piano. First track is It's Hot Tonight. I love the opening riff to this. Love the bass line. Great vocal from Alice. Lace and Whiskey, another of my favourite tracks. Solid sort of Showtime style. I love that sort of showboating from Alice. Road Rats, love this 70s style rock track. Some great piano on it, really good. Damned If I Do. It's not my favourite. There's something about it, I'm not very keen on it. You and Me, it's quite a slow track. But I think in the early days, Alice's voice was really good at these slow sort of tracks. Really good track. King of the Silver Screen, I love this. This is a jazzy sort of feel to it. The guitar riffs are really good. Then we got this thing called Bango Stomp. This basic rock and roll, Tony Levin plays on it. It's really, really good. Then we get No More Love at Your Convenience. Again, one of these brass band things. It's okay, don't mind that track. Then we get a thing called I Never Wrote Those Songs. Very jazzy piano and a great vocal from Alice. Last track is my favourite track. It's called My God. Dramatic organ, very church organ at the beginning. It really sets the tempo for this track. Fantastic vocal from Alice. I really love this album. I'll enjoy into it. It's got everything on here from rock to orchestras to brass. Fantastic album, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.3. Okay, then coming at number 4. Hang on, I got that the wrong way round. No, sorry. Coming at number 4, we've got the second album, released in 1976, Alice Cooper Goes to Hell. On here we've got Alice Cooper on vocals, Dick Wagner on acoustic and electric guitars, Steve Hunter on guitar, John Trappier on guitar, Bob Ezrin again doing some piano, Tony Levins on the bass, Alan Schwartzberg drums, and Jimmy Malhan on percussion. First track, Go to Hell. Love the percussion on this. Great sound effects and a great vocal from Alice. You Gotta Dance. It's a bit disco funky on here. The bass is cool though, it's Tony Levin. But that's the only highlight of that track. I'm the Coolest, another great bass line from Tony Levin. Absolute classic song. Didn't We Meet? The piano, from like, it sounds like a bit of a show song. Really good. Don't mind that one. I Never Cry. Not one of the best tracks on the album. It's particularly not a favourite of mine. Give the Kid a Break. Very 50s sounding sort of sound. I really like that track. Guilty. Another good rocker. Starts off with a strong riff, some great drumming. Wake Me Gently. I love the acoustics guitar at the beginning of this. Nice gentle track. And we get to my favourite track, Wish You Were Here. One of those funky rock tracks with a great guitar. I don't mind a bit of funky stuff, but the other one was too funky. This is just perfect funky. Then we get I'm Always Chasing Rainbows. It's an old song. This was written in 1917. A lot of people have covered this, of course. This is a really good version though. An old song. And then we got Going Home, another mellow track, really good. I love this one. What I like about this album, we've got a mixture of rock songs, slow songs, songs from musicals. One of the best slower tracks that Alice ever did. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.4. Top 3. Top 2 were the top one. There's always going to be top 1, but the top 3, these 2 and 3, struggled a bit. I had to listen to them about 3 times each to get this. So this is what I went through with in the end. So coming in at number 3, we got the 4th album, From the Inside, 1978. There's so many people on this. The list of who's playing on it is as long as my arm. First track, From the Inside, written by Alice Cooper and Bernie Taupin. That's pretty good. Bit poppy, but a really good song. Then we get I Wish I Were Born in Beverly Hills. Love this. It's a great solid rock song from the late 70s. Excellent stuff. Great vocal from Alice. The Quiet Room, one of the weakest tracks on the album. It's not very good. Nurse Rosetta, love the riffs in this. Great vocal from Alice. Got Millie and Billy, performed by Cooper and Macy Levy. It's quite nice little song actually. Quite nice duo. Like that one a lot. Serious. My favourite track on here, it's got some strings and it rocks. Excellent track. How Are You Gonna See Me Now? As I said before, slow tracks done in the 70s by Alice was brilliant. He had the voice to do it. And I think, I don't know if Bernie Taupin's involved, but it could have been sung by Elton John, this one. I really like that track. Veronica's Sake, bit of a rip-off of Bat Out of Hell at the start, but there you go, it's still a good track. Jackknife Johnny, sorry. I love the gentleness at the beginning, and then it goes into a really good track. Inmates, We're All Crazy. Again, one of the showboating songs from Alice telling a story. Love the lyrics. Fine performance by Alice. Okay, I know this isn't everybody's favourite album, but I really like this album. There's not a bad track on it. A couple of weaker ones, but on the whole, it's just one of them albums you've got to listen to all the way through. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. So coming in at number 2, this was tough, but in the end, I think there's a personal reason why this is number 2. So coming in at number 2, we have the 14th album from the year 2000, Brutal Planet. On here we've got Alice Cooper, Ryan Roxie, Phil X on guitars and Bon Jovi and all sorts, Eric Singer on the drums and Bob Marley on rhythm. First track, Brutal Planet. This is awesome. The heaviness of this track and a really eerie vocal from Alice. Excellent track. Wicked Young Man. Brilliant track again. Love this one. Very heavy. Great stuff. Sanctuary. Great track. Oh, the vocal from Alice on this is brilliant. Then we get Blow Me a Kiss. It's a really weird start, but a really strong track. Eat Some More. This is one of them. Got a great, really heavy rock riff from this, and Alice sounds brilliant on this. Absolutely tremendous track. Then we get my favourite, Pick Up the Bones. Love this. It's a heavy track, and boy does it sound better live. Brilliant track. Pessy Mystique, a typical dark Alice Cooper track. All them elements of the good old days on that one. Then we get Gimme. Starts off a bit weird, and then God does it rock. Brilliant. It's The Little Things, another driving rock song with a brilliant bass line. Take It Like a Woman, one of the slower tracks on here. It's not too bad. The strings really do add to it. And then the last track, Cold Machines, awesome track. Great riffs, great vocal from Alice. Love this album. Reason is, there's this little story that there's. Once I saw him on this tour, I popped down on a Sunday lunchtime to my local pub for a pint and ended up going to see Alice Cooper. The funny thing is, I've just got the album. To hear this album live, most of the tracks are brilliant. It's not a bad track, and I think this is why it's my number 2, because it's the first time I ever saw Alice Cooper. I saw Ronnie James Dio that night as well. Well, a gig. It was just an amazing gig, and the songs on here are just brilliant, and that's why I love it. And it's one of the best albums he's made for a very long time. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. So my number 1. It can only be one album, can't it? I haven't mentioned this one yet. Came out in 1975, and it's his first solo album after the split up of the Alice Cooper band, and it is called Welcome to My Nightmare. Alice Cooper's on here, Nick Wagner's on the guitar, Steve Hunter on the guitars, Prakash John doing the bass, Penty Glan on drums. We've got Bob Ezrin on here, keyboards from Joseph Chawaski, Tony Levin plays bass on a couple of tracks, Johnny Bandak plays drums, Vincent Price is the curator, and Trish McKinnon plays mum. Then we get a choir on it. Opens up with the classic Welcome to My Nightmare. I just love the bass line from Tony Levin on this. Great vocal. Love this track. Then we get my favourite track ever by Alice Cooper. It's The Devil's Food. It's just a great song, and then Vincent Price comes in, and he's saying, the next aisle is better for our finest collection, the friendly little devil. The haplotype die unfortunately harmless. Next to him is the nasty Lacosa Retect. All these spiders. And then here's my prize, the Black Widow. Isn't she lovely? So deadly. Her kiss is 15 times as poisonous as the raffles make you see her venom. Highly neurotic, which is to say it attacks the central nerve system, causing intense pain, profuse sweating, difficulty in breathing, loss of consciousness, and finally death. But obviously Vincent Price is a lot better than me. It's just brilliant. Which goes then into the track, the Black Widow, another blinder of a track. Love the guitar solo on this. Then we get the swing song from the 40s, Some Folks. Fantastic. Love that track. Then a classic, Only Wind Bleed. It's one of the great vocals from Alice. Just love it. Department of Youth. The album is full of classics, and here's another fine example. Great track. Then we get the wonderful Cold Ethel. Love the riffs in this, guitar solo is great. Then we get Years Ago. Now this has got a weird keyboard track, but it actually adds to the weirdness of this track. Anywhere else it'd sound terrible, but on this track sounds fantastic. Then we get the epic Stephen. Love the strings on this. It's such an atmospheric track. The Awakening, so eerie. The deliverance of the vocal from Alice Cooper is brilliant. One of his finest performances on this album. Then we get the last track, Escape. The riffs are brilliant. What a rock song. An epic, great way to end the album. Great album. His first solo will always be my favourite. Just like $1 Million Babies. These two albums should have come straight after each other, in my opinion, because they sort of naturally follow. I play this album to death. And we featured it at Halloween last year. I just love The Devil's Food. It's just an awesome track. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking, of course, 10 out of 10, because it's one of my favourite albums. Well, there we have it. It's a long one because he's made some great albums. Seen him twice. I'll go and see him again, so I think he's a great showman. Watched him on YouTube. His concerts are all there. Okay, that's all for today, as this is a very long one. We're back tomorrow though. For tomorrow we've got a Battle of the Debuts. Now this one's again one of them strange ones. Great band called Deep Purple. 1973 someone left because he'd had enough of someone. Went and formed his own band, and then within 2 years the person that he'd had enough with had left and formed another band, pinching a band. We're talking about Ian Gill and Richie Blackmore. We're going to look at their debut albums to see who really was the king of the debut. And then tomorrow's artwork. Now, for the last few weeks I have been slagging off Muse, Something Chronic. But tomorrow we're going to look at their album artwork, because their artwork is pretty spectacular. So we're going to look at that. And don't forget, tomorrow night we have a live stream, and either tomorrow or Friday there'll be, hopefully, a special with Joe from Joe's Universal Vinyl, and we're going to do a thing on our favourite long prog songs. So that's coming up with the next 3 or 4 days. Just sorting out when we're actually doing it. We may be doing it tonight, we may be doing it next week, we're not quite sure, but look out for that. So have a great day everyone, and bye for now.